Thanks for staying with us. Now, according to the Internet Encyclopedia of Philosophy, the African predicament is a concept that explains the plight that threatens the African people. It is also an account that combines methods from various disciplines, since it is not limited to the field of philosophy alone, but serves as a problem for consideration in the social sciences and humanity as a whole. Now, although this places the Africans as being on the defensive side of reality, having been bedeviled with numerous plagues such as slavery, it does not exempt the African race in the execution of the problematic situation in which they find themselves. While constantly searching for scapegoats to apportion blame in order to gain psychological relief, Africans are also a threat to themselves. Hence, a people who have been trained to laugh at themselves bear the greater burden of ensuring liberation, not from the clutches of an alien, but from the enemies that lie within as black people or minorities. It is easy to point fingers, but we can all agree that one way or the other, we created the room for these oppressors to come into our homes and wreak havoc. So, what role do you think the black race has played in Africa's backwardness? That's the conversation. Now, please, let's hear what you have to say. Remember, you can join the conversation. Send us an SMS or WhatsApp to 081-803-4663. You can also tweet at us at WayShowAfrica1 with the hashtag WayShow. So this conversation is quite interesting because I had posted a video of, like I had mentioned earlier, I posted a video on my page about the Queen, and you hear people come out with some comments like, did you not see, why are you mourning her? You know, this person sold your forefathers, you know, sold your forefathers. I'm trying to find one particular comment that I saw. It said, but her grandparents, right, stole from Benin Kingdom, because they were referring to me as a Benin girl, from Benin Kingdom, and she watched over the massacre of more than 3 million Igbos, but funding, and by funding the war via the Royal Dutch Shell. I mean, so I am not one to argue when people come up with such arguments, because I always say that for the devil to come into your home, first of all, he must identify. A family member must have. No, he must even identify, first of all, that there's an opening, a loophole, right? No matter how tiny that loophole is, as long as he sees that there's a space to come into that space, he then comes in. And when he comes in, right, he's found the space. Is another level again is he wants to plant a seed. What does he do? He must look for a fertile ground. If the seed is planted and it does not germinate, yes, he's lost the battle. Yes. So I don't understand why all the time we want to talk about ourselves as Africans. We keep taking ourselves back to our colonial masters, slave trade, and yes, a lot happened. But where we are currently as a people, you know, even when it happened then, our leaders, our rulers then, traditional leaders, collected, what's it called? Things. They collected gold, they collected so many things. And positions. Even mirrors. When I heard that mirror one, I said, now, wow. Mississippi. Do you understand? So I'm saying to you that, so those people actually encouraged, you know, that to thrive. Enabled it. And they were enablers. So you cannot speak of something like this and leave it in isolation and just do a blame game and say, you know what, you are blaming the other party. Yes. We played a role. And I think as Africans, until we start to tell ourselves the truth, take responsibility for our own actions, maybe Africa might just change. Because now, the backwardness that we are facing in Africa is beyond slave trade, is beyond the colonial. We are the ones that have said to ourselves that this country or this continent cannot progress. But let me hear your thoughts, ladies.
My number one thoughts, like you said, we've been seeing a lot of people complaining about, don't mourn the Queen, your colonial master, is because you are still in that slave trade mentality. First of all, I wasn't there when it happened, number one. Number two, those who were there, they will tell the story embellished, and the one that is the truth, we don't know. The one that my father sold this piece of land to gain a position in the first premier government or whatever they called it back in the day. Nobody would have told me that they did it. Now, Back in the day, like Black Panther, the movie was trying to tell you, your weapons alone can protect you. The white man came with gunpowder and could affect you from a distance. Let's say they gained ground on that. But when they got to you, and you watch the movie Roots, and you see black people pointing out their fellow men, kinsmen, telling them, take this one, take this one. They start taking position because they gave them jackets and hats. They start feeling superior to their kinsmen, and they're like, I'm a house nigger. Because that's what enabled slavery as well. Even there, they could have always overpowered these people and gotten back into the water. It's the mentality of superiority that the black skin makes us keep fighting for, oppressing one another. Once you see something that makes you feel you're slightly elevated more than your kinsman, you take advantage of it. Look at it in Nigerian situations, working in companies, working with expatriates. You that you have PA position to expatriates starts feeling special because you're serving Oyinbo. So there's an inferiority complex that worked then and is still working now, and it will keep working until the sense of self-worth individually starts increasing to the point where you see yourself as an entity of royalty.
Absolutely.
Instead of even Chinko oppresses us. I'm telling you, Chinko oppresses us. The ones that are arranging trailer. Didn't you see the video of one Chinko man that was saying he was going to beat a black man, and they were like 10 of them standing there, and they were like, we will so beat you. Hey, you think this is back in the day when you will bring fireworks? We've never seen it before. We too will start jumping around like monkeys, like Fela said. He's no, I'm getting emotional.
It is here. Don't be emotional. Now, let me hear your thoughts.
Wow. What role has the black race played in Africa's backwardness? I believe for me, it's really sad to see where we are, especially when we know that we're a people that are so resourceful. I think civilization, I beg to be corrected, or I stand to be corrected, but I believe that civilization was started with the black race. Right? And at that time, there was a lot of learning, there was a lot of intellectual upgrade and development across board. And over time, we have come to know the black race as a people that are industrious, very intelligent people, very resourceful people, and very organized. Because we also need to demystify these ideologies that people outside of the black race had of us, where, you know, when they think, some people still think that we hang from trees, that we are, you know, we have houses in the trees and all of that. But back in the days, as many centuries ago, there was civilization. When they came to Nigeria, for example, we had the Benin Kingdom, we had some of those great kingdoms of those times. So it wasn't that you met people in the bush like Homo sapiens or the evolution of man and all of that.
They taught us.
They were people that were organized. But over time, I would agree with Laide there, where complex came in, where we were successfully cajoled into believing
that we were lesser than
what was not who we were. And then over time, this has been passed on from generation to generation. So when you now connect it with Africa versus, you know, Africans all over the world, people who were sold into slavery, you find a bunch of people who have not gotten over their past. And it reminds me of a quote by Charagizi that he said, "Let go of the past, but keep the lessons it taught." We have not learned from the situations of the past that we faced, whether those who were sold into slavery or those who came out of war. For myself as an individual, I'm Igbo, and so Biafra, when you remember the Biafran war and you see some of the pictures, coincidentally when I was in university, I did a a paper on the Nigerian Civil War, and I interviewed quite a lot of people, and you find out that a lot of Igbos are still holding that
And they were violated.
situation. I lost my grandfather in that war as well. You know, my other grandfather even lost his leg had to be amputated because he was working the rail, and you know, there was a lot. So a lot of people are still bleeding. But how long are we going to stay there is the problem. Have we learned from the past? There are also countries who went through civilization. India is one of them. The Asian countries
Dubai.
are several of them. But some of them have been able to look and say, look, let's look within. Let's see what we can use of our resources and the things that we have to become an independent nation in such a way that we are giving value to the world. And this has made them to stand out. They have become they've moved from third world economies to first world economies. They can compete in the global space. But look at Africa with all of our resources, with all of, check it, not just, is it in West Africa, is it in East Africa, is it in South Africa? These areas have different resources to offer, both human capital and material, right? And then we still depend on others. There's so many instances of cases where people have come up with, I mean, every time we come up with something a Nigerian has done or an African has done across board to create solution. But how are we, you talked about the other day, Innocent, for example, we used to have Peugeot. Back in the days, we had factories, we had things. How did we move to become so dependent that we no longer we no longer bring any form of any form of value to the table? So we really need to look inward.
So even in the past, sorry, Norma, even in the past, it was physical slavery. But where we are now, it's even worse.
Mental slavery.
Because we don't even see anything good within us.
Is no longer, we cannot, and I dare say that, we can no longer put that pressure on others. Because it has moved beyond that.
I hear Uti is around now. Hello, Uti. It's one of those days.
Our experts. While we're waiting for Uti. Oh, she's here.
Yes, we can hear you, Uti. Sorry about the network. Hi, we can hear you. Go ahead. All right, darling. So, I mean, you heard the conversation. I hear that you've been listening in on us since. So, what are your thoughts? Because when I saw that quote, it really struck me, honestly, that you don't need to do too much to kill a black man. Just, align with a fellow black man and it will help you kill him. That really struck me, because it is really disheartening that Africans have gotten to that point where we're not even seeing that we're our biggest problem. We're always quick to push to say, oh, this is the person, that is doing us. But we are the ones really killing ourselves. But I wanted to hear your initial thoughts. Then we'll quickly go on a break. All right, thanks for staying with us now. If you just tuned in, it's our ladies' night out, and we are discussing the subject of the backwardness, right, of Africa, the role that the black people have played in Africa's backwardness. That's the conversation. Now, please, let's hear what you have to say. Remember, you can join the conversation. Send us an SMS or WhatsApp to 081-803-84663. You can also tweet at us at WayShowAfrica1 with the hashtag WayShow. And our phone line is now open. Remember the rules. Turn off the volume of your television set so we can hear ourselves. The number to call is 07025007749. That's the number to call. Now, I mean, before we went on a break, I was saying to you ladies that, I mean, Dubai, who would think they also went through colonialism? But you see, they take pride to say, you know what, my country will be one of the best in the world. My people will live great lives and all of that. So it is that pride that they have and that love for people that has made that destination like a global destination that everybody in the world looks forward to visiting Dubai. Africa. I mean, I was watching the swearing in of a Kenyan president today. It was just a joke to me, because he couldn't even take the oath properly to say, you know what, I really want to serve selflessly, right? He kept on changing and switching the whole.
Sounding like
wedding vows that he doesn't want to.
Like wedding vows that he doesn't want, because he knows he's not going to go through with it. So I mean, this is a problem that, and when I hear people keep saying that, oh, what's it called? Your colonial masters. Colonial masters, they have come, they have done their thing.
62 years.
Do you understand? We are, so I think the slavery for me has shifted
slavery of the mind
from the physical slavery, where it is now a slavery of, you know what, I must show you that I am better than you. Our leaders, for instance, feel that it is okay for them to earn a fat salary, and for the person that is on the street, because the person is a nobody, we do not attach value to human life. We do not attach to dignity to human life.
Colonial Masters taught them they are doing to us.
To us. So what are we saying? So where are we now? It is us that is the problem.
We are the problem.
It is not about the next person or the other person. It is us. It's just like you have a problem in your relationship and you keep blaming the other party. Well, have you looked at yourself to say, you know what am I doing wrong? What am I accepting? Do you understand?
My daughter sent text messages as she's sitting, because she wasn't even going to take part, but I think she got really interested in the topic, saying, talk about the educational system. Many dark-skinned people hold themselves back. Instead of fighting for generational wealth, the way white people create it for themselves, we start saying, oh, the white man is holding me down, especially America, where they all grew together and they have like 5 generations to compare. They keep saying the white man is holding them down. But you had the same opportunities when you were born. You had school. What have you instilled in yourself as a sense of self-worth that I'm going to change the legacy of my people or the way they see us? That mental slavery, intimidation to put you in place. Do you know that experiment that they said they put a chain around a dog and they kept him from running far
to a particular distance?
And then they removed the chain.
He still did not go
further.
Because
they have now trained his mind.
Yeah, he's been groomed. But let me take our first caller for the evening. I want to come back on that subject of education. Youngest old man, you are live. Hi, good evening.
Come on down.
Yes, I think the question should be, how do we emancipate ourselves from mental slavery?
Absolutely.
You see, the whites have been able to come and mentally enslave us, and they physically took off the chains, while mentally they left the chains. You see, I don't blame the whites, but they still have some percentage in whatever we are going through. They made us most things that are not, they made us see our wants, you understand, better than our needs.
Yeah.
So basically, if somebody wanting to have 10 cars, but he only needs 1. So that self-centeredness becomes the order of the day. And that is why the black man suffers much. It's not only in Nigeria. You saw the Zambia president speaking about when all these permanent secretary were trying to tell him to buy a new car. And I was telling him, why will he buy a new car? There's already a car that is moving. However, he's not talking to the legislators that if they want car, they should buy with their money. That if he wants to buy a V6 engine, he will buy with his money. So such kind of emancipation comes once in a blue moon. You understand? So basically, I don't really want to throw anything to the whites. However, they succeeded in taking off the physical chains and leaving the how do I say it, the psychological chain. So all we need to do is enlighten each other on basically working on our needs, not wants. Everybody wants to have a big house, but you sleep on one bed, even on one side, in one room. So the thing might just tire everybody, but I know that one day we'll get better. And that is the main reason why I'm always obedient and useful. Thank you very much.
Thank you, youngest old man. You know, I was going to come back to that subject of education, and I'd like to hear all our thoughts, because you see, as it stands today, a lot of people have been marginalized. The education is now a tool for a very huge social separation. You understand? A lot of people now are so illiterate. They don't even know left. They don't know what is even good for them
That's
as a
formal
people.
education.
No, forget about it.
It's not
let's
about-
even leave formal or whatever. Literacy is so poor
Knowledge.
that even now, the average person on the street does not even know what is good for them anymore. Do you understand? We have so our kind of slavery that we are doing to ourselves as blacks is to take away that education in the sense of like knowing. Take away the knowing. Take away
When you're
people's
ignorant
rights.
of how
Yes,
you're being treated,
thank
can't
you.
fight it.
We have built ignorance to the level where
It
people can't
suits
even
our
question.
purpose.
Thank you. So what are we saying? You can't keep on blaming and saying it's one race or whatever that did
Yeah.
it. But let me hear your thoughts, Norma. Then I'll come to Uti. Then I'll come back to you, Lady.
All right.
I think, like you, right? It's education it's about information. How are we being exposed to what is the current way of doing things now? How do we position ourselves? How do we value ourselves? And how do we project this value to the world? And this is somewhere that we are grossly lacking, because we have also come to that place where in our minds, like you rightly said earlier, we had discussed earlier, that we or we feel inferior
Yes.
to the rest of the world. So even where we have solutions that can be provided, even we see a lot of poaching happening here. I mean, the other day we were talking about brain drain,
yeah.
or the different levels of industry, right? And then you see Nigerians, not just Nigerians, Africans,
Black
across
skinned people.
board, who have capacity, but because in their minds they are still
less
playing
than.
small, they feel inferior. They end up being either baby mamas, or you, before you are 20, you have 4 children, you have 4 kids, you're held down by paying child care and all of that, and then they don't amount to anything. So education is that aspect where we need to pay attention to, and I would add that we need to start from the foundation. Now, it's very easy for us to look at the big picture and say, oh, this is where we are. How about we start from the family unit, which is the smallest unit across board, where parenting becomes very, very efficient, that you are informing children about decisions that they can make to empower themselves in the future, right? So that it's not the same story all over again. You see some people, generations, down to 3rd and 4th generation, the same
being held
story.
down by
That
the
means you said
same-
insanity.
Again,
The
being
definition
held down
of
by the
definition of
same
insanity.
A method that never changes, and you see your family just serving people as housemaids and skinny forever and ever.
But I mean,
and nothing changes.
They say definition of insanity is doing the same thing over
and
again,
expecting
expecting
a different results.
Akpabio, whatever anybody will say about him, he said my people cannot be. You can't be calling my people houseboy, housegirl. They can't be known for that. And he did something, and he changed something, right? So you must do something differently. But let me hear Ute your thoughts. Then I'll come back to you, Laide.
Yes.
Ute, are you there?
So I think, yeah, no. So I mean, you've kind of all touched on different places, but I think that generationally you have a problem, right? Because when I hear Norma talking about the family unit and how that's where the change should start, let's even talk about the construct of family today. Let's talk about the quality of people that are raising people. Because you say that as a parent, what are you supposed to do? You're supposed to raise a well-adjusted, upstanding member of society, right? But how many people actually have the capacity to do that? The long-term snowball effect of lack of education over the years, of seeing the rot take hold, all of these things are compounded today. So you meet some people and you go, oh, wow, this person is somebody's father. This person is somebody's mother. So what values is that person imparting in the child? But we still have a ever-thriving culture that says children must be done. Everybody. The goal is to be a parent. Whether you can actually parent doesn't matter, but you have to have kids, right? That's the prayer. That's the measure of fruitfulness, is having kids. But are we assessing the quality of kids that we're putting out there? We have a largely youthful population out of 200 million people. If we were to rate, a lot of these young people on the scale today, the problem is really at that level. When you say, we've talked about it many times on the show, today there are many options to educate yourself. There are many options to go and do business. But the foundation is still the key. It doesn't matter even if you can't read ABC, because thankfully that's no longer the measure today, because opportunities still abound. But the values, the moral construct, is something that somebody has to impart in you. You don't bring it from heaven, right? A child still needs somebody to tell them right from wrong, even if we say it's innate. It is somebody that gave birth to an armed robber. It's somebody that gave birth to a kidnapper, right? So all of those things need to be imparted. And these are the things that over time, generationally, the snowball keeps building and building and building, and we find ourselves where we are today. Because remember when the Hush Puppy incident happened? If you were on social media, there were people that were still supporting Hush Puppy. Even in the midst of it being clear that it was fraud and it was all, there were some people that couldn't see beyond the wealth. And were saying if I had the opportunity, I would do the same. We've now gone beyond whether those people know their A's from their B's or their ones from their twos. Morally, internally, they have no values. The thing that they've fixated on is now just on the physical manifestation of wealth. That's their only value. And those things have long-term effects for us as a nation, as a people, as a race, as a continent. We are where we are.
Chief Zebrudaya alias 430.
Yes, so
I would want to say that I think those who are radically black-minded should please find the truth of our history and let us start teaching it again, and not the ones that they embellished for the schools. Because if we knew who we were and we start watching things like Black Panther and start imagining that there were black people that saw themselves as noble beyond intimidation, maybe we will start having a sense like the people of Dubai have, that as a country, as a whole, what is our mission
We
statement?
no longer have history.
How do
being
we
taught in
stand
schools.
to? You remember that I think what actually led to colonialism is that somebody, maybe by drifting away from sea, discovered Africa, then found out that there were people living with a certain level of civilization they had never seen, and started devising ways, because we call Oyinbo people witches, when they get witchcraft. The way, even from using Instagram, and you can, I clicked on one word, now they're telling me, do I want to buy, there's witchcraft that they have. But we too have our own kind of witchcraft.
artificial intelligence.
It is, I don't know how they got it. So they will use the mind, because they say work smart, don't work hard. We know how to work hard, they know how to work smart. So they used the mind, they started developing things to see as far as we were. Look at what we had and start building machines to come and collect from us. We never, like someone said, you can't keep telling me that I can't ask for a UK visa. I would never have known there was a UK if you didn't come to Africa. We didn't know you guys were out there. It was when you came, French people too came, and everybody around the world started fighting for territory, that we realized that there were people out there. So let's go and see what they have there that they're even living to go back to. We need to learn the correct version of our history.
So I like the fact that we're bringing it back home to education and the history, because I think again that's where the biggest gap happened. So when people, I believe that if I see maybe a picture, I paint a picture of to a child to say this was what was done to your forefathers, your great grandfathers, and all of that, and that should birth some kind of holy anger in you, that if anybody did this, I would not allow this to happen again, not under my watch. But obviously,
On the other hand,
the people that experience the history are the ones looking at it and says, okay,
we could never go any further.
it's not even that, they're the ones now translating what they saw. when they say people do the best they can with what they know, it's almost like this is all they saw. They saw oppression. They saw what's it called, slave trade. They saw all of those things, and they said, okay, they saw that some people were living in fancy houses while others were living under the trees and all of that, and they said, okay, you know what, let's just maintain it the way status quo is. Let's not shake things.
Let's not rock the boat.
I believe that when we start to now expose ourselves more to the history of why there's so much backwardness amidst so much resources in Africa, maybe perhaps we might start to find solutions, because everybody is looking for an opportunity to be a big man. Everybody is looking for an opportunity to oppress the next person. If you give me small power today,
it shows
as black people.
yes, as black, I'm saying it as black people. So I'm telling you that
and then give me brand new car, I will feel.
Yes, now that mindset that I am better than you, I am better than her, and all of that, it has so grown that every little opportunity. I remember one statement somebody made, a family member. I can never forget that statement. My sister was like, oh, welcome, this, that, and said something. You know how in my own side, I don't know about other people, in Benin, everybody is always traveling out. And she said something that, she cannot wait to travel, you know, to the US and all of that. This statement that came out of her mouth, I cannot even believe that person was related to me. That if everybody was traveling, who will welcome people at the airport? That, for me, was that you cannot grow beyond a certain level because I need you to be subservient to me. And that is the mindset that has translated on a grand scale across Africa, where everybody is looking for the person to lord over. You're looking for the person that will serve you. You're looking for the person that would watch over you. You're looking for the person that you would keep on, you know, showing. That's why you will see governors stand on their balconies and be throwing money
at peasants.
They are peasants to them.
Throwing money at people.
You know? So this mindset is deeper than we think. And until we as Africans begin to tell ourselves the truth, that it is not the man out there that has done this to us, that has caused this, it is us, then that way maybe we might find
say somebody drove you and then you hand the driver over to your son to drive the son, or someone was a nanny for you and then you pass the nanny like property.
The person cannot grow
to be a nanny. Awolowo said something in a statement that I saw some time ago that I don't pray for the children of my driver to drive my children. I expect that by the time they meet me, there'll be a changing of their lifestyles so that my children and their children will go to school together.
Absolutely.
But when we check our history, and I say it boldly, Awolowo was part of the reason why we suffered. Because he gained from that independence and the little knowledge he knew in exchanging conversations with the white people. So they take what suits them, and then they hide the history of what they did wrong, and then they sell the rest that makes any other person look bad.
It's interesting what the power of the mind can do to people. It can imprison anyone.
Yes.
The moment you make it real, it becomes your reality. And we have, as black people, made our reality that we don't have a sense of worth and value, so that even in the, like you said, even in the midst of value, we're still worthless.
Absolutely. Let's quickly take comments, ladies. Quickly.
I have this comment from BC, and it says, good evening, ladies. We, the black race, are problems to ourselves. Back from the days of colonialism, Chino Achebe's things fall apart. You see those black interpreters greatly taxing and forcefully taking belongings of their kindreds and pretending the white people needed things. Why? Because they were uneducated and couldn't understand what was being said. Now, white have gone and we are the leaders, and the attitude has been horrible. Leaders keep state resources to themselves and they feel they have power to crush whoever stands in their way. Some foreign companies here, once a black man gets to the top position, he will advise the white to treat his people shabbily and promise them nothing will happen. You see staff being denied their benefits. I think we as blacks are the problems of ourselves. Until we stop blaming others, we will continue in this way. Thank you, Bissy.
Uti, go ahead quickly. Okay, lady.
I got Daniel again to deal.
Yes, sir. I read it complete.
Oh, complete. Good Good evening, my dear beautiful sisters of What Are You Saying #ways. What role has the black race played in Africa's backwardness? In a nutshell, Sister Uwa has said it all. We are our own enemies. We are the ones doing ourselves and nothing more. We heap responsibilities on another and no one is ready to take the blame. Concerning the 12-year-old child that turned his mom's house upside down, I would suggest a mild corporal punishment to put that child to order. If not, next time he or she will do more than what is done. That is a good way to reset the brain of that child. My name is Daniel Ilo Ways.
Regular fan. Uti, quickly.
Once it's time for the child to come to Nigeria.
Quickly, Uti.
Okay, so I have a comment from Benson. It says, greetings, ladies. Africanness can be likened to athletics. Our larger leadership / population do more of the 100-meter dash. Selfish. Wow. Well, what is needed is a great relay race that exchanges the baton from the best to the best. This brings substantial progress, not backwardness. Very interesting way that it was put, but Benson makes a very good point.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, ladies. We had a fantastic conversation.
Yes,
we hope to be here tomorrow live. Now, before we go, ensure you follow us on Instagram at @WayShowAfrica. You can interact with us further, drop a comment, and more importantly, follow all our engagements on social media. Like, share, and invite your families and friends to watch and follow the conversation. This particular conversation, I want to find a way to keep it going. Now, it's easy to destroy a black man because his own people will help you do that. This was a quote from Nee Smart. We'll see you guys live at 8 p.m. tomorrow, so bring another great conversation to your screen. Enjoy.